The Empire thought humans were defenseless, but one hidden warship was about to rewrite the rules of the galaxy. The Titan-class vessel awakened silently, showing power no fleet could match. Humans never sought war, yet their secret weapon could destroy entire armadas. The Empire's arrogance met its match, and the galaxy learned not to underestimate humanity. A single ship held the fate of countless systems, proving humanity's survival and strategy were beyond imagination. Fascinated by humanity's ultimate power? Subscribe now to see more epic HFY stories and legendary battles. The Galactic Empire had ruled the stars for so long that doubt no longer existed in its thinking. Thousands of species had risen and fallen under its shadow. Every civilization was measured by one rule: the size and strength of its warships. If a species had no visible fleet, it was weak. And if it was weak, it would kneel. When the Empire's scouts first encountered humanity, the reports were almost insulting. Humans lived on a single blue planet with scattered colonies. They traded resources, explored slowly, and avoided conflict whenever possible. No massive armadas guarded their space. No planetary cannons lit their borders. To the Empire, this meant only one thing: humanity was harmless. Imperial analysts labeled humans as merchants and diplomats, a species more interested in stories, culture, and cooperation than power. The Empire had seen this pattern before. Peaceful species always believed kindness would protect them. And peaceful species always collapsed when real power arrived. So the Empire made its fatal assumption. They assumed humans had never known real war. They assumed humans had never faced extinction. They assumed humans had nothing worth fearing. An Imperial survey fleet was dispatched, not an invasion force, just enough ships to show authority. The mission was simple: enter human space, demand submission, and claim the systems. No resistance was expected. The officers treated it like a training exercise. As the fleet crossed into human territory, they noticed something strange. There were no warning shots, no aggressive maneuvers. Human stations continued operating normally. Civilian ships passed by without panic. It was as if the Empire's presence meant nothing at all. This calm response reinforced the Empire's arrogance. They believed humans did not understand the danger they were facing. Some officers even joked that humans would surrender before the first demand was spoken. Yet beneath this calm surface, the Empire failed to notice the silence. Human military channels were quiet, not chaotic. There was no scrambling, no fear-filled chatter, only controlled, deliberate communication. The Imperial fleet moved deeper, closer to a region near a dead star. This area had no trade value, no colonies, no reason to exist on strategic maps, and yet human traffic avoided it completely. To the Empire, it was ignored, just empty space. The commanders never asked why a supposedly weak species guarded nothing so confidently. They never questioned why human history showed sudden technological leaps instead of steady growth. They never examined old records hinting at wars humans barely spoke about. Wars that nearly destroyed them. Wars that taught them one brutal lesson: survive at any cost. The Empire believed strength was shown loudly. Humans believed strength was kept hidden. As the survey fleet prepared its first official transmission, demanding compliance, they still saw humans as children playing among giants. They did not know humanity had once stood alone against its own extinction. They did not know humans had learned to build not for pride, but for survival. The fatal assumption was not that humans were weak. It was that humans thought the same way the Empire did. The Empire built fleets to dominate others. Humans built something else entirely. By the time the Imperial commanders realized that human calm was not fear but confidence, it was already too late to turn back. Because the Empire had crossed into a space humanity considered sacred, a place where humanity kept the proof of its darkest history, and the weapon born from it. The Empire believed the age of surprises was over. Humanity had been waiting to prove that belief wrong. As the Imperial survey fleet moved deeper into human territory, their sensors began to detect something unusual. At first, it appeared as background noise, a faint signal buried under cosmic radiation. The Empire's technology was advanced, capable of reading the smallest energy shifts. Yet this signal did not behave like anything in their records. Imperial technicians tried to classify it. It was not a communication broadcast. It was not a civilian transmission. And it was not a natural phenomenon. The signal pulsed slowly like a heartbeat, steady and controlled. The officers were confused, but not worried. The Empire had encountered strange signals before from dead worlds and ancient ruins. Most of them meant nothing. They assumed this was another forgotten relic of some extinct species. As the fleet moved closer, the signal grew stronger. Not louder, but clearer. It carried layers of encoded data, far more complex than human trade networks. This surprised the analysts. A peaceful species should not have this level of encryption. The signal was coming from a region near a collapsed star, a place where gravity was unstable and space itself bent slightly. No empire would build anything valuable there. It was too dangerous, too unpredictable. Imperial commanders questioned the navigation charts. Human space lanes carefully curved around the area. No civilian traffic crossed through it. It was like an unspoken boundary, a place humans avoided without ever marking it as restricted. The Empire dismissed this as superstition or poor mapping. They continued forward, confident in their shields and engines. As they entered the region, several sensors failed at once. Not destroyed, just overwhelmed. As if something was interfering with reality itself. The signal suddenly changed. It synchronized with the fleet's approach. Its pulse adjusted, matching their speed and formation. This was the first moment real unease spread among the officers. Natural signals do not react. Technicians reported that the signal was scanning them, not aggressively, not defensively, simply observing, cataloging mass, energy output, weapon signatures. The Empire had never been studied like this before. Still, the commanders refused to retreat. Turning back from an unarmed species would damage their authority. They ordered the fleet to maintain course and prepare a standard dominance broadcast. As they advanced, shapes began to appear on long-range scanners, massive outlines hidden behind layers of gravitational distortion. At first, they looked like drifting asteroids, but the angles were wrong. Too precise, too deliberate. The signal now filled every channel, not as sound, but as pressure. Even experienced officers felt it, a strange weight in their thoughts. Like standing near something ancient and awake, Imperial historians on board recalled forbidden legends, stories of weapons built at the end of great wars, machines designed not to conquer, but to end conflicts forever. Those stories were considered myths. No species would build such things and then hide them. The fleet finally slowed, caution replacing arrogance. Closer scans revealed layers upon layers of material around the object, armor thicker than any battleship hull. Energy readings beyond known reactors. This was not debris. The signal originated from deep within the structure. Protected, controlled, intentional. It had been waiting, dormant, patient, as if designed to remain silent until someone crossed an invisible line. Human communication finally arrived, calm and measured. They did not threaten. They did not plead. They simply asked the Empire to stop advancing. The Imperial commanders ignored the request. They believed it was a bluff, a desperate attempt to delay the inevitable. Weak species always tried words before surrender. Then the signal did something impossible. It linked directly to Imperial systems without breaking a single security layer. Not hacking, not forceful entry, just access, clean and precise. Screens across the fleet displayed the same message, a warning written in simple symbols, translated instantly. You have entered restricted space. Proceeding further will activate defense protocols. The room fell silent. The Empire had never seen technology that polite and that terrifying. And for the first time, the officers wondered if this signal was not a warning, but a courtesy. The Imperial fleet slowed as more details emerged from the dark shape ahead. What they had first mistaken for scattered asteroids now formed a single vast structure. It hung in space without engines firing, without lights, without movement. Yet its presence felt heavy, like gravity itself leaned toward it. Closer scans revealed surfaces layered with materials the Empire did not recognize. Some layers absorbed energy, others bent sensor waves away. Every attempt to get a clear image resulted in distorted readings. It was as if the object did not want to be fully seen. Imperial engineers argued over the data. No station could be this large. No ship could survive near a dead star for long periods. And no known species built structures with this level of redundancy. The object showed signs of extreme age. Micro-impacts from ancient debris covered its outer shell. Radiation scars suggested it had been exposed to stellar explosions long ago. Yet beneath this damage, the structure remained intact, not repaired, not replaced, simply enduring. This confused the Empire more than any weapon ever had. Ancient meant obsolete. Old designs always showed weakness, but this object had survived conditions that destroyed modern fleets. As scans improved, geometric patterns became visible. Straight lines where nature preferred curves. Perfect symmetry hidden beneath chaotic layers. This was no accident, no relic drifting aimlessly. The size estimates kept increasing, larger than any known carrier, heavier than entire orbital cities. Its mass alone could tear smaller ships apart if it moved suddenly. The officers realized this thing was not abandoned. Power flowed deep within it, slow but steady. Not the sharp pulse of active engines, but the deep rhythm of something built to last forever. Imperial historians searched old databases for anything similar. They found nothing in official records, only fragments in forbidden archives. Stories of final weapons created at the end of desperate wars, weapons sealed away when their creators feared what they had made. Those stories spoke of civilizations that nearly destroyed themselves, species that learned too late the cost of unchecked power. Some legends claimed the survivors hid their greatest creations, not to protect themselves from enemies, but to protect the galaxy from themselves. The Empire had always dismissed such tales as exaggeration. No ruler willingly abandons power. No species hides its strongest weapon. Dominance demanded visibility. Fear demanded display. Yet here it was, a colossal machine hidden near a dead star, placed where no one would look, sleeping where space itself was hostile. As the fleet drifted closer, new details emerged. Massive ports sealed shut like armored scars, weapon housings layered beneath kilometers of protection. Nothing exposed, nothing vulnerable. This was not built for constant battle. It was built to survive the first strike, and the second, and the third. Imperial tacticians grew quiet. They realized an uncomfortable truth. This object was designed by someone who expected to be attacked by overwhelming force, someone who had planned for betrayal, extinction, and annihilation. The object's silence became more unsettling than any threat. It did not power weapons. It did not maneuver. It simply observed. Human communication channels remained calm. No panic, no urgency, almost as if this moment had been expected, prepared for, practiced. The Empire began to understand that humanity's history was not peaceful because it lacked enemies. It was peaceful because it had survived something far worse, something it never spoke about openly. This structure was not a symbol of pride. There were no banners, no markings, no declarations. It carried no name visible from outside, only purpose. As data continued to flow, the truth became unavoidable. This object was not a station, it was not a fortress, and it was certainly not debris. It was a warship, not one built to patrol borders or conquer systems, but one built at the edge of desperation, when losing was not an option. The Empire finally faced a reality it had never considered. Humans did not measure strength the same way. They did not display power. They buried it, and waited. The Imperial fleet hovered in silence as the realization settled in. They were staring at a warship far beyond anything they understood. Confusion quickly turned into disbelief. No single vessel should be capable of this scale, this endurance, this presence. That was when a human transmission finally came through. Clear, steady, and respectful. No alarms blared, no threats were spoken, just a calm voice requesting an open channel. The Imperial commanders accepted, expecting desperation or negotiation. Instead, they saw a human officer appear on the display. His posture was relaxed, his expression controlled. There was no fear in his eyes. He introduced himself simply. No long list of titles, no claims of authority. He spoke as if addressing equals, not invaders. This alone unsettled the Empire. The human explained that the fleet had reached a protected zone. He did not call it restricted space. He did not accuse the Empire of aggression. He merely stated a fact. Advancing further would activate defenses. An Imperial admiral laughed openly. He questioned how a single structure could threaten an entire fleet. He demanded to know what kind of station this was. The human paused, then corrected him gently. "It is not a station," the human said. "It is a ship." The room erupted with disbelief. A ship did not stay dormant near a dead star. A ship did not hide its engines and weapons. A ship did not remain silent for centuries. The human allowed the reaction to pass. Then he spoke again, choosing his words carefully. "This is a Titan-class warship." The term meant nothing to the Empire. Their classifications were precise and universal. No record mentioned anything close to a Titan class. It sounded exaggerated, almost childish. The Imperial Council demanded clarification. They asked how one ship could replace fleets. They asked why such power was hidden. They asked when humans had built it. The human did not answer immediately. When he did, his voice carried weight. We built it when survival was uncertain. He explained that humanity once faced extinction, not from aliens, but from their own wars, from weapons that nearly erased them. Those wars taught humans a lesson the Empire never learned. Victory meant nothing if survival was lost. Power meant nothing if control was gone. The Titan was not built to conquer systems. It was built to ensure humanity would never face annihilation again. Every system, every layer, every weapon was designed with restraint, not to dominate the galaxy, but to make attacking humanity unthinkable. The Empire mocked this explanation. They believed true power was shown through expansion, through fear and obedience, peace achieved through threat. The human did not argue. He simply stated that the Titan had not fired a weapon in centuries. It existed as a reminder, a final answer to extinction-level threats. Imperial officers noticed something troubling. The human spoke of the Titan the way one spoke of a sleeping giant. Not a tool, not a symbol, but a responsibility. The human warned that the ship would not pursue, it would not invade, it would not retaliate unless necessary. But if activated, it would not stop until the threat was gone. For the first time, the Empire felt uncertainty. They were used to begging, screaming, resistance. They were not used to calm warnings. The human ended his message with a simple request: withdraw, respect the boundary, and no further action would be taken. The transmission ended without ceremony. No threats, no countdown, no dramatic display. Silence filled the command deck. The Empire now understood the danger of what they faced. Not a loud enemy hungry for conquest, but a quiet species that had already survived its darkest hour. They laughed at the idea of one ship replacing an armada, but beneath that laughter grew fear, because deep down, they sensed the human was telling the truth. Without warning, the Titan-class warship began to power up. At first, it was subtle, imperceptible to the naked eye. Sensors detected energy flowing through its layers, not in a chaotic burst, but steady, precise, and deliberate. The Imperial fleet watched in confusion. Engines hummed as if responding to an unseen rhythm. Weapons shifted within armored housings. Systems long thought dormant stirred as if waking from centuries of sleep. Technicians scrambled to understand the readings. Shields fluctuated. Sensors overloaded. Even the most advanced Imperial scanners failed to keep up. Every attempt to probe deeper resulted in interference. A strange warping of space itself occurred. Then the first test occurred. A single energy pulse emerged from the Titan. It did not shoot like a weapon. It flowed like liquid light, striking one of the Imperial battleships instantly. The ship did not explode with fire or sound. It simply vanished. Molecular cohesion disrupted. Energy dissipated. Only the faintest echo remained in the sensors. The Imperial officers stared in disbelief. Their most powerful vessel had been erased without a trace. Panic spread quickly. Orders were shouted, ships moved erratically, admirals demanded countermeasures, but no one knew how to respond. Traditional weapons had no effect. Shields did not hold. The Titan continued its demonstration. Another pulse, another ship. This time an entire squadron shifted out of formation. Their armor stripped clean, engines disabled. The warship did not fire to kill. It fired to warn, to show the Empire the consequences of aggression. Imperial historians aboard began to record everything. They realized humans had hidden their greatest power not to conquer, but to survive. The Titan's existence was a statement. A single ship capable of annihilating an armada, built for a species that refused to kneel. The human commander's voice came through the channels, calm as before. He reminded the Empire that activation was not for conquest. Only if humanity was threatened would the Titan unleash its full power. Even then, it would act with precision, targeting only what was necessary. Imperial officers began to argue amongst themselves. Some demanded retreat immediately. Others wanted to attack before the ship could fully awaken. Fear and pride clashed. The Empire had never faced a threat it could not crush, and now they realized it might not be possible. The Titan itself seemed to respond to these arguments, shifting slightly in space, positioning itself strategically without engines firing. Its immense mass creating gravitational distortions that unsettled the fleet. Communications officers reported interference across all channels, messages scrambled, signals distorted, even automated systems began to fail. The Titan's presence alone disrupted technology, making the Empire helpless to rely on its standard tools. The warship's design became clear gradually. Every surface, every layer, every subsystem worked in perfect coordination. It could react faster than any fleet of smaller ships, striking where necessary, defending where required, and always remaining unpredictable. The Imperial commanders could only watch as their fear grew. What they had assumed would be a minor mission was now a potential disaster. One ship, silent for centuries, had rendered their entire armada vulnerable. The lesson was clear. Humanity had learned to fight in a way the Empire could not anticipate. As the Titan powered down slightly, energy levels returning to dormant states, Imperial officers tried to regain composure. They realized they had been lucky. The humans had not chosen total destruction. A single wrong move could have ended the fleet completely. The human commander's final warning came calmly. The Titan does not seek war, but it will act if necessary. Do not test its limits. The Empire, for the first time in its history, faced a force beyond calculation. A species that hid its ultimate weapon patiently, waiting for the moment it was truly needed. And in that moment, the Imperial arrogance began to crumble. Fear spread quickly through the Imperial Council as news of the Titan-class warship reached them. Officers who had been confident moments ago now spoke in whispers. For centuries, the Empire had never faced a threat it could not crush. Now, a single human-built ship had shattered that belief. Analysts presented the latest data, each report increasing the tension. The Titan's energy output exceeded entire battle groups. Its weapons could strike multiple targets simultaneously. Its defenses could shrug off attacks that would destroy capital ships. No strategy in Imperial history accounted for such a force. Generals argued over what to do next. Some called for an immediate withdrawal. Others insisted on pressing forward, hoping the humans were bluffing. But even the bravest could not deny the evidence. Every calculation confirmed the humans were more dangerous than previously thought. The Council remembered historical encounters with primitive species. They had crushed dozens of civilizations with ease. The pattern was predictable. Domination required no extraordinary measures. But humanity broke that pattern completely. Imperial historians noted inconsistencies in their previous assessments. Reports of human technological leaps, long dismissed as anomalies, suddenly made sense. Humans had hidden their capabilities for generations, preparing silently while the Empire underestimated them. Every move in human space was deliberate, measured, and cautious. The Council realized the Titan was more than a weapon. It was a deterrent, a statement of survival. Its existence demanded respect, not just fear. No previous enemy had dared to build something so powerful in secret. And wait patiently for the right moment. Tensions escalated as advisors debated diplomatic options. Could humanity be reasoned with? Could the Empire claim dominance without provoking total annihilation? Every proposal carried the risk of activating the Titan, and no one knew how fully it could unleash its power. The Empire's arrogance began to crumble. Commanders who once believed in invincibility now questioned their own judgment. The strategies that had guided conquest for centuries seemed naive. Humans had rewritten the rules without firing a single shot, simply by existing and preparing. Communication with the human commander was maintained. The Titan did not move aggressively. Its presence alone was enough. The humans made no demands for surrender, no threats of retaliation, only calm warnings and clear boundaries. The Council studied every detail, every scan. They realized the humans had anticipated their actions. Every maneuver the Empire made had already been considered. Every possible attack had been planned for. And the Titan was ready for them. Imperial pride struggled against reality. They had always believed strength was measured by fleets, by intimidation, by the ability to crush resistance. Now, strength was measured differently, by patience, precision, and the courage to survive. Generals admitted privately that the Empire might have underestimated humanity for too long. No previous warship could match the Titan's capabilities. No known tactics could overcome it. It was a symbol of survival built into the fabric of human strategy. The Council debated one final point. If humanity chose to expand aggressively, could the Empire respond without risking complete destruction? Every option seemed flawed, every choice dangerous, and the human commander had made it clear. Escalation was unnecessary. Imperial officers began to fear the consequences of miscalculation. Every previous victory, every conquered system, suddenly felt fragile. The Empire realized it could no longer rely on old patterns. Humanity had introduced a new equation into galactic power, one that demanded caution, respect, and humility. As the Council adjourned temporarily to consider their next steps, a silence fell over the chambers. For the first time, they understood the true meaning of deterrence. Humanity had survived wars they did not discuss, and built something that ensured they would survive again. The Empire faced a hard truth. This was not just a ship. It was a statement, a promise, and a warning. And for the first time, the Imperial Council wondered if their age of dominance was truly over. The human commander addressed the Imperial fleet once again. His voice was calm, measured, and carried authority without arrogance. He explained that humanity did not seek war. They did not wish to conquer, but they would not allow themselves to be threatened. Imperial officers listened carefully, some still skeptical. They had expected a fight, a desperate bluff. Instead, they heard reason and warning combined. The humans were showing power without aggression, strength without malice, control without chaos. The commander made it clear that the Titan-class warship existed to prevent catastrophe, not to dominate or enslave. Its activation was reserved for situations where humanity itself was in danger. Every protocol, every system was designed with precision, not for pride, but for survival. He reminded the Empire that humans had survived conflicts that nearly destroyed their species. They had faced extinction and emerged wiser, stronger, and more careful. Every lesson from those wars was embedded in the Titan. It was more than a machine. It was the embodiment of human resilience. Imperial tacticians realized they had misjudged humans completely. They had expected fear, hesitation, and weakness. Instead, they saw a species that understood power far differently, not as a tool for domination, but as a safeguard against annihilation. The human commander emphasized that humanity did not seek conflict with the Empire. They valued peace and cooperation. They were willing to coexist, to trade, to communicate, but they would never submit or be intimidated. Every action the Titan could take was a calculated measure of defense. The Imperial fleet's confidence began to falter. They had faced hostile species before. They had crushed rebellions and conquered planets. But nothing in their history had prepared them for this. One ship, controlled by humans, could obliterate entire fleets, and it did so without malice, without provocation. The commander continued, warning the Empire not to test humanity. Every choice carried a consequence. Every aggressive move would provoke a response, not out of anger, but out of necessity. The humans had built the ultimate safeguard, and they were prepared to use it. Imperial officers began to see the logic in restraint. The humans were not bluffing. Every system, every weapon, every protocol suggested careful planning. The Empire realized they were dealing with a species that had survived horrors far greater than anything they had faced. The humans' calm authority contrasted sharply with the Empire's panic. He spoke of boundaries, of respect, of a mutual understanding that could prevent war. But he also left no room for misunderstanding. Humanity would act decisively if threatened. Admirals debated what to do. Retreat seemed wise, but pride and habit demanded caution. Yet the more they analyzed the data, the more obvious it became. The humans held the ultimate advantage, and they understood how to wield it without excess. The commander finished by stating clearly that the Titan's power was not a threat to the galaxy. It was a promise to humanity itself, to survive, to endure, to protect what they valued. The Empire had a choice, to respect the warning or face consequences. And every member of the Imperial Council knew the cost of ignoring it. For the first time, the Empire felt the weight of humility. They had assumed control, dominance, and inevitability. But humanity had rewritten the rules. Strength no longer meant aggression, power no longer meant fear, and survival no longer meant submission. The Imperial fleet slowly began to reconsider its position. Orders were given to hold fire, to maintain distance. Communication channels remained open. The humans had shown the way forward without a single destructive act. The Empire realized that their future encounters would require caution, strategy, and respect. The human commander's final words echoed in every mind. Peace could exist, but it depended on understanding, restraint, and acceptance of human strength. The warning was clear, simple, and unforgettable. Humanity would not be underestimated, and the galaxy had learned its first lesson about a species that survived against all odds. The Imperial fleet began to retreat, slowly at first, then with increasing urgency. For the first time in recorded history, no one questioned the order. The Council had understood the full scope of humanity's power, and they knew the cost of ignoring it. As the fleet moved away from human space, officers exchanged uneasy glances. They had entered thinking they held all the cards, confident in their fleets, their technology, and their centuries of dominance. Now, silence hung over the ships, heavy with realization. Humanity was not weak. Humanity was not naive. Humanity was prepared, patient, and unstoppable if provoked. The Titan-class warship remained dormant in the distance. Its mere presence had shifted the balance of power. Imperial sensors still struggled to comprehend its systems. Each reading challenged what they thought they knew about engineering, strategy, and survival. Even the most seasoned admirals could only stare in disbelief, realizing that a single human vessel had achieved what entire armadas could not. Across the Empire, reports spread rapidly. Commanders revised strategies, historians updated records, propaganda failed to contain the truth. Humans had forced the Empire to retreat without firing a shot. And that truth was humbling, terrifying, and unprecedented. The human commander watched the retreat from the Titan. Calm as ever, he did not gloat, he did not celebrate. He simply ensured that the fleet left safely. Every move measured, deliberate, and controlled. Humanity had made its point. No victory was needed. No destruction was required. Only recognition of capability, restraint, and survival. Back in Imperial Council chambers, debates raged. Some demanded immediate retaliation. Others argued that attacking humans would guarantee their own destruction. Every assessment confirmed the same reality. The Titan was not a threat to conquer, but it was a threat that could erase the Empire if provoked. The Council slowly began to accept a new reality. Humanity had been underestimated for centuries. The humans' calm, deliberate approach had been mistaken for weakness. Every previous calculation, every assumption of superiority, had failed in the face of one species' quiet preparation. Across human space, celebrations were muted but sincere. The species had demonstrated their survival instinct and ingenuity. The Titan had not fired to kill, but it had communicated more powerfully than any battle. A single ship had rewritten the Empire's perception and ensured that humanity would no longer be underestimated. Historians recorded the events carefully. This was not the first human warship, but it was the first of its kind known to the galaxy. It symbolized centuries of hidden effort, ingenuity, and resilience. Built in secret, maintained in silence, and finally revealed at the right moment, its message was clear. Humanity would endure, and no force could easily threaten them. The Empire retreated further, still shaken, still calculating. No system had been destroyed, no fleets annihilated. Yet the psychological impact was greater than any battlefield victory. Humans had demonstrated power, intelligence, and patience, and the Empire understood that they had misjudged an entire species. For the first time, human space was recognized not as primitive, but as a power the galaxy could not ignore. The classification changed instantly in Imperial records, from harmless traders to apex species, from potential victims to strategic equals. Across the galaxy, whispers began to spread. Civilizations long under the shadow of the Empire now spoke in awe. Humans had achieved the impossible. They had survived, hidden, and defended themselves. Not with countless fleets, not with open war, but with a single Titan-class warship, and the intelligence, patience, and courage to use it only when necessary. The Titan returned to its dormant state. The humans' message was complete. The Empire had learned its lesson. Respect humanity, do not underestimate them. And the galaxy had seen the birth of a new power. Silent, calculated, and unyielding. Humanity had arrived, and the rules of engagement had changed forever.